Conference Committee on Electoral District. Senate Committee on FEMA urges federal government to expedite action on rehabilitation of Calabar Itu Road. Plus, Cross River State Anti-Tax Agency warns on illegality. Details of these and more presently. A very good evening and so good to have you on Nta Calabar News at 7. I am Maureen Leo Ajom. Now the news in detail. Nigeria and the Republic of Burundi have resolved to deepen and expand existing bilateral relations between the two countries in the greater interest of their people and economies. This came to light when President Muhammadu Buhari received in audience his Burundian counterpart President Evariste Ndayishimiye on the margins of the 76th United Nations General Assembly holding in New York. The Burundian leader informed President Buhari that peace is fully restored in his country and reconciliation is ongoing. He said Burundi is looking for support from friendly nations towards exploiting the vast opportunities that abound, especially in agriculture, oil supply, and mining. President Buhari pledged Nigeria's support and assistance to what he called the broader African country. Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema was at the high-level engagement. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has asked the Senate to amend the Petroleum Industry Act. He made the request in a letter read by the Senate President Ahmed Lawan during plenary yesterday on the floor of the upper chamber of the National Assembly in Abuja. President Buhari explained that his proposal became necessary, having carefully reviewed the administrative structure of both the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission. He listed the three areas of the Act he sought to be amended to include the appointment of non-executive board members, removal of the Ministries of Petroleum Resources and Finance from the boards of the two institutions, as well as the appointment of executive directors. While the PIA provides for the appointment of two non-executive board members, President Buhari is seeking an expansion of the membership. He, however, asked the Senate to confirm the appointment of Issa Madiobo as chairman of the Upstream Regulatory Commission and Benga Komolete as its chief executive. The Senate has again set up a 7-member conference committee during plenary with intent to harmonize positions between it and the House of Representatives on electronic transmission of election results. Earlier in the year, both chambers passed the bill for third readings. However, the 2010 Electoral Act Amended Bill 2021 deferred on provisions of Clause 52 subsection 3, deals with electronic transmission of election results. With this discrepancy in focus, the Senate President Ahmed Lawan, in line with legislative practices and procedures, announced the 7-man conference committee before the commencement of plenary. Legislators selected include Senator Yahaya Abdullahi, APC Kebbi North, Kabiru Gaya, APC Kano South, Ajibola Bashiru, APC Ogun Central, Danjuma Goje, APC Gombe Central. Others are Uche Kunife, PDP Anambra Central, Sani Musa, APC Niger East, and Matthew Urogide, PDP Edo North or South. In another development, the Senate Committee on FEMA says it will ensure funds allocated to FEMA for roads rehabilitation across the country are properly spent for Nigerians to get desired results or value. Chairman Senate Committee on FEMA and Senator representing Cross River Southern Senatorial District Gershom Basi said this during inspection of projects in some parts of Cross River State undertaken by FEMA. Correspondent tells us more. Federal Roads Maintenance Agency FEMA is carrying out intervention work on federal roads across Cross River State, some of which have been completed and others are near completion. Portions of the road inspected by the chairman, Senate Committee on FEMA, Geshambasi, are in Calabar Municipal and Calabar South local government areas. They include Calabar Akampa Ikom Dual Carriageway, Old Odukbani High Tech Pro, Redemption Avenue, Ballantyne, Achibong Street Roads, and the Atimbo Ikang Road.
So far, I've seen it is okay. It seems okay, but we are still to conclude our oversight. Barely a month ago, the Minister for Works announced a 75 billion naira contract, which he said was for the unawarded portion of the Calabar Road. We expect that those monies will be released as soon as possible, and I urge the federal government to immediately release the funds, and then the three contractors should immediately get to site.
FEMA and the contractor handling various road projects give assurances to deliver on specification, but regretted the challenge of unfriendly weather conditions.
All the materials we use in our projects, they are all certified before they use them.
The area that we have not completed is because of the weather condition.
For the residents, it is a booster to their economic activities.
Before now, when the road was too bad, we experienced a lot of erosion and also flood. The water entered some people's house, so it was very rough.
The Buhari administration since inception has been investing heavily on massive roads construction and rehabilitation. In Calabar, Maureen Leo Ajom, NTA News. And in a related development, the federal government has continued to ensure that there is transparency in the review of concession agreements with terminal operators at the Nigerian Ports Authority, Calabar. Oduaratim reports that as part of efforts to entrench accountability, the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the governing list of federal government-owned assets was at Calabar Port on a fact-finding mission to recover revenue for the country.
The federal government, through the Nigerian Ports Authority, has been on the process of concessioning the country's ports, which aims at enthroning efficiency, ensuring ease of doing business, assessing the value of leased assets and recovery funds, and generating revenue for the nation's growth. The agreement places responsibility on the government and port operators for everyone to play its role. Members, House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the governing-owned assets were at the Nigerian Port Authority, Calabar, where the port management presented financial reports to help the committee, which was on a fact-finding mission to investigate for the purpose of addressing loopholes for proper management of government funds.
Since we started, we have gone round all the marine ports facilities, and we have convinced ourselves from what we have seen so that there had been a lot of leakages, there had been a lot of funds hanging there that out of maybe non-due diligence, these funds have not been properly demanded and channeled to the Federation account, and many more findings that our committees have been able to come out with. But you know, as it is a legislative practice, all these findings will have to be properly collated before it is released for Nigerians to see what our assets should have yielded or have yielded, and where government would have generated more funds to fund most of the budget provisions that we're making as a
Led by the manager Calabar Ports, the chairman of the committee Daniel Asukwo and other members also visited terminals operating within Calabar Ports and interacted with operators while urging them to provide needed information and copies of some documents to enable them check areas of non-compliance by either concessionaires or the NPA.
This particular committee will have to make sure that public servants who have deliberately and intentionally colluded to give out our assets for nothing, have allowed lapses in the drafting of those agreements, which we've seen loopholes, will be recommended to the appropriate bodies. We are sure that most of the debts that they are owing NPA and owing any other government agency that these committees work will be recovered.
As the committee harmonizes issues affecting the optimal performance of the ports, it is believed that port operators will meet contractual obligations for more investment. In Calabar, Uduak Etam, NTA News.
The federal government has expressed its commitment to complete the construction work on the 221-kilometer Kefi-Akwanga-Lafi Makurdi dual carriageway. Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola disclosed this during an inspection tour of the project. Abigail Bashir reports that during the visit, the minister also inspected other federal government projects in Nasarawa State.
The project, which consists of two parts, include the 5.4-kilometer reconstruction of the Abuja-Kefi Highway and 221 of the Kefi-Akwanga-Lafi Makurdi Highway. The Minister, Babatunde Fashola, assures of government's commitment to fulfill its mandate by providing basic infrastructure to the citizenry for development to thrive.
So those who express concerns about the loans and ask what the loans are being used for, this road is one of the roads funded by the China Exim loan. But it is a process we own, because this is money borrowed for investment to improve people's lives.
The minister, accompanied by Nasarawa State Governor Engineer Abdullahi Sile, visited more sites to inspect other projects initiated by the federal government, including the 500 housing estates and federal secretariat, which is near completion.
The President is committing to completing this to demonstrate the commitment of the federal government to workers' welfare and work environment, and we hope that that will translate to enhanced productivity.
Forever appreciative to the Honorable Minister, the Ministry, and of course Mr. President, for all these structures that are taking place in Nasarawa State.
During the visit, the Honorable Minister also paid a courtesy call on Governor Abdullahi Sile, where they discussed issues of national development. In Lafia, Abigail Bashi, NTA News.
You are watching news reaching you from the studio of Nta Calabar. You can watch this newscast on our YouTube channel at YouTube/Nta Calabar. We'll take a break and the news continues shortly. Don't go away.
As news breaks from the north, south, east, and west of Nigeria, we bring it to you. News from the length and breadth of Cross River State is sent to you via this channel.
With movers and shakers in various spheres of influence talking to us, we carve a niche and showcase our experience in broadcasting, because it's NTA Calabar before others.
You can't get this anywhere else. It's only here on NTA Calabar News, showing at this times 3 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 7 p.m. every day. NTA Calabar News. Our experience counts.
Welcome back to the rest of the news. The Cross River State Anti-Tax Agency says it will not compromise in its objectives or collect bribe, which will make room for illegal tax collectors in the state to thrive. Chairman of the Cross River State Anti-Tax Agency, Bishop Emma Isong, while interacting with newsmen in Calabar, warned illegal revenue collectors and their masters to desist from nefarious activities forthwith or face the full wrath of the law. Uduak Etam completes the story.
The Cross River State Anti-Tax Agency, whose scope of operations include, among others, exemption of low-income earners as well as tricycle riders and small business owners from paying taxes. The chairman of the agency, while briefing journalists, says, in spite of the good intentions of Governor Ben Ayade to make life meaningful for this segment of the society who are struggling to earn a living, some revenue collectors have continued to exploit them. Checks by the agency have shown that these categories of people are being harassed daily by illegal tax operators, and the agency has sent a warning to them.
And want to use the medium and warn any council chairman or head of any MDA of government that they should desist from any form of nefarious and obnoxious means of making revenue for their MDAs. And we will not be bribed. We will not receive a kobo from anybody.
With the help of the judiciary, the agency hinted that it will soon set up 3 mobile courts for the purpose of prosecuting those indulging in the collection of illegal taxes in the state.
We are not intimidated by political columnists, and we are not frightened by agents of tax sherlocks and companies who continue to extort the people. We have also collaborated with the Board of Internal Revenue to give meaning to some relative words.
The agency has, however, warned council chairmen and others behind this illicit act to desist while threatening to publish names of politicians allegedly involved in this act. In Calabar, Uduak Etam, NTA News.
And away from there are a set of professionals in the health sector, but oftentimes unnoticed despite the value they bring to the entire healthcare delivery process. They are called radiographers, and their concern is to ensure that professionals saddled with the responsibility of performing this role and eliminating quackery to protect lives of patients who visit X-ray and radiography department in hospitals abide by standards. Paul Abel was at some health facilities in Cross River State and now reports.
Radiography is the science of producing an image on radiosensitive surface by radiation other than visible light for the purposes of diagnostic and treatment of diseases. If you have gone for X-ray or a scan, you probably met a radiographer. But the issue of concern here is that some of the personnel manning such equipment are not professionals, and instead of solving problems, their activities can cause more harm to unsuspecting patients.
Our findings are that we have technicians that are not qualified to use the machine, are the one minding the equipment. An inappropriate use of this radiation could lead to cancer, although it can also be used to treat cancer and also to diagnose diseases.
One of the aims is to cut off quackery, which is against the medical rules and ethics. That's why we are here.
We still need more advocacy. We need more awareness, and we need more sensitization.
The Radiographers Registration Board of Nigeria is saddled with the responsibility of regulating and ensuring compliance in the profession. The inspection by these radiographers at UGEP is more like taking a deeper step to saving lives in their own way. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
And to COVID-19 update, Nigeria has confirmed 513 new cases of coronavirus from 19 states as at 21st September 2021. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control says Lagos, being the epicenter of the pandemic, recorded the highest number of 132 cases, followed by FCT with 80 cases, Rivers 70, Kaduna 43, Edo 40, Ondo 32, Delta 23 and Akwa Ibom with 21 cases. Others Other states with affected cases are Kwara 16, Gombe 12, Anambra and Benue 9 cases each, Kano 7, Oyo 6, Borno, Bayelsa and Ogun recorded 2 cases each, while Jigawa has 1 case. The total number of confirmed cases of the virus stands at 200,704, in which 191,370 persons have been treated and discharged, while 2,664 persons have died of the disease. And following the collapse of a building which claimed 1 life in Akure, officials of the Ondo State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development have sealed off the building and marked it for demolition. Olubukola Aduwo, who visited the scene of the incident, reports that the owner of the building has been arrested and will be prosecuted if found guilty.
Residents of Fanibi Streets and environs woke up to the disturbing news of the collapse of this story building, which claimed the life of an aged woman and left several, including children, injured. According to eyewitness accounts, the unfortunate incident occurred at about 3 in the morning on Tuesday when the occupants were asleep.
Those people that are living in the backyard, so when we called the police and our neighbor in the environment, they now came and rescued them. But unfortunately, out of one family, we lost only 1 woman there.
The collapsed building was an attachment to the main building, which has been built over 70 years ago. Experts attributed the cause of the incident to negligence and non-adherence to building codes and standards and use of non-professionals.
Looking at this building, you can see that there is no column, which people normally refer to as pillar, that is holding the building, that is carrying the load. The whole thing is just a block load-bearing structure.
If you use an expert now, we are going to hold the engineer and prosecute the engineer. But now there is no engineer that works, and they did it on their own. So the owner of the building is going to face the music.
The owner of the building has been arrested by the police for interrogation.
We will take statements, then we do a little investigation, and if we have anything criminal, we do the needful.
The remains of the deceased have been deposited at the mortuary, while those injured are receiving treatment at an undisclosed hospital. In Akure, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
Life has been described as nothing and a passage of time only to be sniffed by death. This is part of the comments made during the condolence visit by Governor Ben Ayade to the family of General Anthony Ukwu, who died recently. Paul Ebel reports.
Snatched by the cold hands of death, it was a calm and quiet atmosphere at the home of late General Ukwu, as his wife Salome and some of the children welcomed the governor and his entourage. At the condolence register, Governor Ayade writes, and I quote, "Death is a shame, takes and picks only the wrong fruits. This was an army general who indeed was also the people's general. Adieu." End of quote. During his interaction with family members, late General Ukwu was described as a great man who was concerned about the welfare of his people.
Established factories and industries to create jobs for his people. And today remains one of the major investors in Crossing as well as in Crossing. It's so sad that we have to lose him at this time, particularly with his huge investment in social medicine, where he was setting up a cancer treatment center, all that almost due for commissioning. And to having gone at this time, it's really regrettable and God knows mercy. We and the family has been strong, and they have a matter. We'll take something from here.
Late General Anthony Ukwu was the owner of Asukpo Diagnostic Medical Center and was one time a military administrator of Old River State. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
And finally, a recap of the major stories. The Senate has set up a 7-member conference committee with intent to harmonize positions between it and the House of Representatives on electronic results. Senate Committee on FEMA has urged the federal government to expedite action on the rehabilitation of Calabar-Itu Road, which the Minister of Road, Babatunde Fashola, has announced 75 billion naira contract for unawarded portion of the road. Also in the news, the Cross River State Anti-Tax Agency has warned illegal revenue collectors and their masters to desist from nefarious activities forthwith or be ready to face the full wrath of the law. That's it on the news. We thank you so very much for watching. Do have a nice time enjoying the rest of our programs.